Welcome to the Immigrant in Law channel. We continue our honest and detailed analysis of all the countries of the European Union through the eyes of immigrants themselves. In this video, you will learn the real pros and cons of living in Poland, Portugal, Romania, and Slovakia, without advertising, without gloss, and without illusions. Compare, analyze, and choose the country that suits you. So, let's continue our journey through Europe. Poland is one of the most realistic options for relocation, especially if you are looking for something close in spirit but with European conditions. It often becomes the front door to the EU. It is easier to adapt, cheaper to live here, and the mentality does not cause culture shock. Life is more affordable. Compared to Germany, France, or the Netherlands, rent, food, transportation, and services are noticeably cheaper here. If you have a remote income or income from abroad, you can live in Poland very comfortably, especially in small towns. The economy is developing rapidly, investors are coming, infrastructure is being built, new vacancies are appearing in logistics, IT, production. Workers are in demand in many fields, from construction to medicine, and it has become easier to legalize through employment. Poland is also geographically and logistically convenient. You can live in a border town, work in Germany, drive to the Czech Republic, go on vacation to Slovakia. Lots of buses, trains, cheap airlines, traveling around the EU is as affordable as possible. But not everything is so simple. The first thing migrants face is political polarization. The country has quite sharp internal disputes, and the foreign policy agenda affects the mood in society. At certain moments, especially in the regions, tensions can be felt, especially towards those who do not speak Polish. The attitude towards migrants depends on the city. In Warsaw, Krakow, or Wrocław, foreigners are treated calmly, but in smaller towns there can be wariness, especially if you are not integrated, do not speak Polish, and live separately. It is not hostility, but distance is felt. Salaries are average. For Europe, they are even low. If you plan to earn money inside Poland, you should take into account that with high expenses in the capital and large cities, it will be difficult to save. This is especially true for families with children and young professionals without experience. Portugal is southern European tranquility overlooking the ocean. The warm climate, friendly people, and relaxed atmosphere have made this country a magnet for remote workers, freelancers, and those who want to live a slower but still EU life. The main advantage is the rhythm of life. No one here is in a hurry, and you can feel it in everything. In communication, in street life, in the approach to business. The locals know how to relax, appreciate communication, sunshine, and good food. If you want to exhale after the frantic rhythm of the metropolis, Portugal knows how to slow down. The climate is mild and comfortable. On the coast winters without snow, the temperature rarely drops below +10. Summers are warm, but not exhausting. The ocean gives freshness. The atmosphere resembles eternal spring, especially in the area of Lisbon, Setúbal, and Algarve. Portugal is actively developing programs for migrants. There are special visas for freelancers and digital nomads, golden visa for investors, residence permit through the purchase of real estate. The procedures are simple, the requirements are reasonable. That is why people from France, Germany, and Eastern Europe are actively moving here. People are open and calm. Portuguese are rarely in a hurry, not prone to aggression, polite, and ready to help. Even without perfect knowledge of the language, you will feel a warm attitude. And in major cities, Lisbon and Porto, English-speaking environment is more and more common. But Portugal has its own difficulties. The first is low wages. It is one of the poorest countries in Western Europe. If you plan to work for a local company, you should be prepared for a modest income, especially compared to France, Germany, or the Netherlands. Because of this, locals often leave to work, especially young people. Renting accommodation, especially in Lisbon and Porto, has become a real problem. Because of the influx of foreigners, investors, and tourists, prices have multiplied. Even a small apartment can cost as much as in Madrid or Berlin, and finding something suitable is a separate quest. The locals are not happy about this, and it creates a certain social tension. Another point is the path to citizenship. It is one of the longest in Europe, a minimum of 5 years of residence permit, then applying, waiting, language and integration exams. The system is not fast and requires patience. Romania is a country that is rarely mentioned in the top places to move to, but for nothing. In fact, it has an important advantage: fast citizenship processing. And also, beautiful mountains, mild climate, inexpensive life, and quite warm attitude to migrants. One of the main advantages is the ease of legalization. A residence permit can be obtained quickly, especially if you open a business, enter a university, or prove financial independence. The path to citizenship through repatriation in Romania is one of the fastest in the EU. You can get citizenship in about a year, and the procedure itself is considered relatively straightforward. Prices here are among the lowest in Europe. Housing, food, services, everything is many times more affordable than in the western part of the EU. If you have an income from abroad, you can live very comfortably. Rent in the center of Bucharest is like in the suburbs of Vilnius. Products are local, inexpensive, especially fruits and vegetables. The climate is mild and the nature is amazingly diverse. Carpathians, Transylvania, Danube, Black Sea coast, everything is close by. This is a country where you can live at the foot of the mountains and go to the sea on weekends. For those who value access to nature, this is a strong argument. In addition, loyalty to migrants. Romanians, especially in the big cities, treat foreigners calmly. English is popular among young people and business people. There is no culture shock or aggressive politics. On the contrary, there is a sense of curiosity and openness. But Romania is not only nature and coziness. There are also shadows of the old system. Poverty persists in many regions, especially in rural areas. Infrastructure can be underdeveloped, roads can be broken, and medicine can be basic. So it is important to choose where exactly you will live. The difference between Bucharest and the periphery is huge. Career prospects are limited, salaries are low, the labor market is narrow. If you are moving without remote income or starting a business, it can be difficult to find a decent job, especially without knowledge of Romanian language. This is why many Romanians go to Western Europe to work. Slovakia is a quiet, compact, and peaceful country right in the center of Europe. For those who are looking for an affordable and safe location to move to with a European passport and minimal expenses, Slovakia can be a good starting point. It does not promise grandiose career horizons, but offers stability, nature, and dimensionality. The first plus is geography. You are literally in the center of the continent. To Austria, an hour; to the Czech Republic, 2; to Hungary, 1.5. This is convenient for traveling, living with your family, or even running a small cross-European business. Housing is affordable. Rent in Bratislava is still cheaper than in any major city in Germany or France. And in the provinces, prices can surprise in a good way. A house near the forest, an apartment with a view of the mountains, for a relatively small amount. If you work remotely, you can live comfortably and still save money. Bureaucracy is simple and generally understandable. Yes, there are queues in some places, old processes, but there is no feeling that the system is working against you. Registration, residence permit, account opening, standard procedures that are solved within reason. Nature and safety are big advantages. Carpathians, thermal springs, lakes and forests, all within half an hour from the cities. The society is calm, the crime rate is one of the lowest in the EU. You can safely walk in the evening, let your children go to school by feet, live in a private house without a fence. But it's all in exchange for simplicity. First, the language. Slovak is not the easiest language to learn, especially if you are not familiar with other Slavic languages. English is understood in tourist spots and among young people. But for serious business, from documents to doctor's appointments, you need the local language. Second, the feeling of falling behind the neighbors. If you have traveled to Austria or the Czech Republic, Slovakia may seem a bit yesterday. Infrastructure is simpler, service is not always customer-oriented, and public transportation is not brand new in some places. Development is underway, but not at the same pace as in the western part of the EU. And finally, limited career prospects. The labor market is small and there are few high-paying jobs. There are offers in IT, finance, medicine, but competition and salaries are not pleasing. Many specialists, especially young people, go to work in Austria or the Czech Republic. As you can see, each European country has its own character, its own advantages and disadvantages. Choosing a country is always individual. Stability is more important to some people, climate is more important to another people, and accessibility of adaptation and career opportunities is more important to others. Compare carefully and choose wisely. Immigrant in Law team is ready to answer all questions about migration to the European Union. Our experts will help you find the best route to EU citizenship, so that you can live, work, or study freely in any of the 27 European countries. In the next video, you'll learn the honest pros and cons of living in countries like Slovenia, Finland, France, and Croatia. Stay tuned, give us likes, and ask your questions in the comments. Subscribe to the Immigrant in Law channel, and open a world of opportunities for you and your family. See you in the next episode.